Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you everyone for coming back. Truly appreciate it. I don't know if we have anyone new today. Just like yesterday, I would like you to get into the chat, because if you have any questions this morning, you can put them in the chat, and either myself, Madeline, or Betty will be monitoring the chat this morning. We'll also do activities in the chat, and we also will be doing a breakout room this morning. So again, thank you for coming back. I'm just going to do our land acknowledgement. In the spirit of reconciliation, we want to acknowledge that this gathering is taking place on traditional treaty lands across the province of Alberta, home to many diverse Indigenous, Métis, and Inuit peoples. And I do know we have someone from Saskatchewan here, so I want to also acknowledge the land that our participant is coming from in Saskatchewan. Once again, don't know if we have anyone new here this morning that was not here yesterday. Maybe if you are in the chat, you can just say, I'm new, and then we know how much of our own introductions we still have to do. But until anyone, I'll just do a little bit. Nobody new? Then you know what, we're gonna,
oh, we've got one new one.
Yeah, Mrs. Tally is here. Well, welcome a new person. Okay, so I'll give you a quick introduction about myself. I am Yolanda Seletsky. I am the math learning consultant for Edmonton Regional Learning Consortium, now doing across the province work with ARPDC. I was a math teacher at Greater St. Albert Catholic School for close to 30 years. During my time at Greater St. Albert Schools, I became seconded for part of my time for ERLC, starting in around 2005, 2006. And ever since then, I've been seconded like anywhere from 50 days to 100 days and now it's my first year of retirement, I did almost 200 days. So my passion is math. This is the fourth curriculum that I'm working on, and each curriculum has its own nuances and it has its own good things and things that you would like to change. But the bottom line is we have a curriculum that we are going to be working with in grade 4 to 6 that we are starting with in September. So I'm really excited about working with this new curriculum and working with you. If those of you who are really new to the consortium, you have consortiums. There's 7 consortiums across the province, and we have even a French consortium. And so you can ask any people in the consortiums to come out and help you in your school district. And you can also come to any sessions you want that are given across the province, because most of them are now all virtual, so you can participate virtually. And we are getting back to doing more in person, so you just keep an eye on the consortium that you belong to. Sorry, I said way more than I was thinking, because Betty said yesterday you didn't say enough. So
that's right.
Now it's your turn, Betty.
Yeah, no, but it's such good information, Yolanda. And we have a Tracy. She's also new, so we have 2 new people. I'll be very quick. I am Betty Morris, and I am formerly from Edmonton Catholic, where I was a math consultant, then to Alberta Learning, and now I'm with the consortium. But one of the things, I just thought I would add a little piece of new information. I kind of alluded to it yesterday, where I said that I had done some work in India. But after I left Alberta Learning for, I don't know how many years, I was very fortunate to work with an educational company and we partnered with Microsoft, and I think I worked in 7 African countries, mainly in the East, Kenya, Uganda. I started in Nigeria, and the experience, like working with ministries of education, government, private schools, public or government schools, pastoral schools, where the school was in a field as the people herded their animals and farmed. It was just an amazing experience. So part of my educational life. Okay.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So, oops. Today's agenda. I'm going to start off the day this morning talking about the difference between, oh, sorry, Madeline. I forgot. Madeline, can you introduce yourself?
No,
We did that yesterday too. You're so quiet, Madeline.
you don't have to introduce me. I'm just here to support you, ladies. I'm Madeline, everyone. Madeline Lemire, and I'm with the Francophone Consortia, and I have the pleasure of working with the math team at ARPDC, which is the overarching organization that all 7 provincial consortia belong to. So I'm just here to be in the background and support these ladies during their great sessions. It was fantastic yesterday, so I'm stepping back and away you go.
Well, I was just going to ask you though, how's your French?
Did we get it?
Passable. Passable. Je peux parler un peu français, hein, René?
Okay, so for those of you that are French, you do know we have a French consortia that can help you out. And Madeline has people working for her in all the different subject areas. So you can, if you're in a French emergent or Francophone, Madeline would be the person that you would contact for support. Anyway, today's agenda is we're going to start off with talking about numeracy and mathematics. And we'll go into learning progressions in numeracy, in mathematics, and also talk about the most important part, our curriculum. And then I'm so excited for the second half of today's session, because we are going to show you all the resources that have been developed in and around the province of Alberta, not only by the consortiums, but also, some school boards have already done some great work and have shared their resources with us and said, please share with the province, because they are open to teachers. And we want our teachers to know that there are things that have been made for them already. And so instead of going to teachers, pay teachers and paying, you can actually get everything you need in these resources. And then we're going to pick one topic, which is order of operations in grade 4 to 6. And we chose that topic because basically the outcomes are new for grade 4 to 6. And so to help you out, what do those topics mean and how do they look? So first thing I'm going to talk about is the fact that there was research done a few years, not a few, but in, I can't remember what year, I think it was 2006 or something like that. Duncan did some research, and he and his team put forth research on what was a best indicator of later school success for children. Was it early literacy, reading, writing? Was it early numeracy, knowing their numbers, knowing quantities? Was it behavior? Was it socioeconomic background? And they followed these students for a number of years to see what actually was the better indicator of school success for students. And how many of you, and in your chat, we're going to do a rainfall right away. What I'd like you to think about is, of those things that they were watching, was it behavior? Was it socioeconomic background? Was it early literacy or early number sense? What was the best indicator of later school success for those kids? So just think about that, put it in the chat, and then I'll say go, and you can just drop it into the waterfall. And go. Interesting.
Lots of early literacy, number sense.
Well, studies have shown over and over again that early literacy success is directly linked to later literacy success. Early numeracy success is directly linked to later numeracy and later literacy success. And the number one indicator of school success is early numeracy. And that one was something that really surprises a lot of people. But when we think about it, this study was done in 2007. I knew it was done in the 2000s. Duncan and his group found that kids that came to school and in preschool and in kindergarten, when they were had some number sense, strong number sense, those are the kids that actually had greater success in school throughout their years. Not saying, please know that I'm not saying today that if you're a mom or a grandmother or a grandparent of a young child who doesn't go to school, not saying stop reading to your child. What we're saying is what's really important is we start developing number sense. How many? How is 3 more than 2? Is 2 less than or more than 5? How many is this on my hand? How many is this? Doing things like this is very, very important for kids when they come to school. And so we just want to make sure that we are all aware of that. And I know this is the grade 4 to 6 group, but by grade 4 to 6, you start seeing kids who already are struggling with number sense.
Yolanda, I'll just read a comment. Sorry to interrupt you. I'll just read a comment from Judy. She said more students tap out in later elementary with math than with reading.
Yep.
Yeah.
Judy, you are right on when you say that. Absolutely. That is so true. And I was a junior high teacher for many, many years. And I really saw it by the time they came to grade 7. And in fact, those of you who've ever taught junior high, you may have heard this comment before. My child never had problems in math until they came to you. And I remember the first time I heard that, I thought, oh, what am I doing wrong? And that's when I really, really noticed that there was a gap between math and numeracy.
Right. We have another comment that says where Brianne said that she noticed it this year with her group of grade 4 students. Lots of numeracy gaps due to COVID too.
Yes. And I bet also we've also seen gaps in literacy also.
Yeah.
And if we really worked harder in preschool and kindergarten and lower years on making sure that those fundamental skills were there in math, we would find that kids will do better by the time they get to those higher grades.
Yeah. Yolanda, you've got some great comments coming based on your discussion. So we've got here people who are actually now, these teachers are admitting it. When they were students, I'm just going to find out who said this. So Sandra said that she was a student who tapped out, even though her parents tried hard. And we've got Kathy saying, Yolanda, I had the same message teaching grade 7 and thought it was me. I realized it was that kids couldn't reason mathematically as the math content became more complex. So we're getting some great comments based on what you're saying.
Okay, so today, in today's world, we're hearing a lot more about the term numeracy. So my question is it math or is it numeracy? Or what is there a difference between math and numeracy? And I'm asking that, I'm putting that out there. And so what we're going to do right now is I'm going to put you guys into breakout rooms. You're going to get this slide here. And what I'm going to do right now is in the chat, let me just get it first. In the chat, I've dropped a link for the slides. Where is it? Hold on. Okay, if you could open this Google Doc. And I'm going to put people into groups of 3 or 4. And at the very top hand corner, you'll see that there is a, it says breakout group 1, and then the next slide says breakout group 2, then it says breakout group 3, and I'm just going to get there. Hold on. Just want to make sure that you guys can get there. Not sure, is everybody in?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're going to do is I will put you in a breakout room. I'll give you 5 minutes to talk to the members in your group. And I'd like you to put down definitions or examples of math, examples of numeracy in your slide. And then we'll come back and we'll just take it from there. So in your group, talk about what is math, what is numeracy, what do you think it's all about? And so I need to go to my, where is it? I know when I was yesterday, there it is, breakout rooms. How many people do we have here today? 70. Okay, so okay. Okay, so you should get an invitation to join a room. And what I'd like you to do is just go to that room and we'll come back at 8:55. And you just have to accept that you are going.
Okay. So Pam, did you try the link again?
Pam, are you in? Pam must have gone because I cannot see her here. Okay, I'm just going to.
Maybe she popped out to come back in.
Okay. So Cheryl just came in. Hi, Cheryl. We just went into breakout rooms here. And so I'm just wondering if you're okay if I put you in a room.
Oh, Yolanda, Renee
Yes.
was in a breakout with me and a couple of people who weren't joining, so I moved her.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we've got a few people that didn't join, and that's fine.
Yeah, and so what I did is like I tried moving them out, so Renee got in a group because she was the only one who showed up.
Okay. Okay. Most groups have at least 3 that have joined, so.
Yep, and you can see the slides filling in.
Very interesting. It's exactly what I thought, to tell you the truth.
It's a great activity. And you know, I liked your activity at the start. You sure got them talking. Your question.
I'm going to close them out because we'll run out of time. Okay, I think we're all back. Welcome back. I hope you had a good 5 minutes with your colleagues across the province. It's really interesting. We're just quickly looking through some of your answers, some of the things that you were saying. And it's great because these slides are yours. You can take a look at what other groups were saying rather than every group talking about what they said. And I'm just going to go back to our slides and talk about what is math, what is numeracy, what does Alberta Education say it is. And first of all, Alberta Education defines numeracy as follows. It involves acquiring and applying the math knowledge and skills needed to engage with quantitative and spatial information in a variety of situations. So numeracy is basically when you take what you learn in math and you apply it to life skills. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Didn't want to do that. How come that happened? Because my finger, my finger slipped. Sorry. There. And the other thing is numeracy should be embedded across all subject areas, not just in mathematics. It is the foundational. It is allowing students to make informed decisions as knowledgeable, active participants in our society. And so when I started reading this, and I remember back in 2010, the superintendent that I worked for changed my title from math consultant to math/numeracy consultant. And I thought to myself, okay, what does this all mean? And then I also remembered, I don't know, Kathy, I see you're on here. Do you remember when we were in junior high and they told us that we had to embed literacy in math? I remember saying, what are you talking about? I don't have time to teach kids how to read and write. But reading and writing is way more, literacy is way broader than reading and writing. And as a numeracy consultant, I totally remember one day I was doing a session with high school language arts teachers, high school English teachers. And I'll be very honest with you, I was quite nervous about this whole situation, thinking, how am I going to do this? And we started looking at the numeracy progressions that Alberta Education put out there. And we talked about the numeracy progressions in high school. And I'll never forget the English 30 teacher putting up her hand and saying, I have something to say. And inside my body and in my head, I'm thinking, oh no, here it goes. They don't want to be here. And she said, Yelena, for the first time, I had a light bulb go on and an aha moment. I teach in English 30 a novel. And in this novel, of course, it was written in the States. So everything is, the measurements are all in imperial measures. And there's a very critical part of this book is a car chase. And the car chase is where the car is going miles per hour. And it just hit me. My kids have no idea what miles per hour is. And then she said, my opportunity here would be to put that into kilometers per hour, to do the math, so that my kids can understand this critical part of the book that is in miles per hour. And how many miles that this car was traveling and how long it was going to take them to get to wherever they were going. And she says, I've been teaching this novel for years. Never once did I consider that I have to do the math for this novel so that my kids actually have a better understanding of the novel. And that's when things went great. And when I thought things were going south, things were actually starting to come together for this group. And so in numeracy, we have spatial information, and that is all about the physical location of objects or people or relationship between objects and people. It's the spatial visualization, management of space, measurement, conversions, location and direction, time. And so when she was talking about the spatial information. Her students had none of that. And it was her opportunity to bring it in her English 30 class. Whereas the other part of numeracy is also being able to use the information that can be measured and expressed as an amount, using what's the magnitude of number, understanding how big a billion is, understanding that a billion is 1,000 millions, understanding how big a million is, understanding how small 15,000ths is. Using those numbers, doing calculations with those numbers, understanding patterns and relations, understanding data and probability, and taking any of that and applying it across curriculum. And when we put it all together, when we put the curriculum in, when we bring in literacy progressions and numeracy progressions into our everyday lives, we start to really get kids that are literate in numeracy, literate in literacy, and also able to deal with their curriculum. And so, yes, not only should we be teaching our curriculums, but we should also be bringing in progressions for literacy and numeracy into our everyday teaching. And so the first thing that I just wanted to talk about is, yeah, there are progressions in Alberta Education's website. I'm going to go to them right away, just so you see where they are. But these numeracy progressions deal with all those parts of the spatial information, quantitative information, and also about the knowledge about numeracy and literacy. So here is in the Alberta K-6 curriculum, here's progressions. If you were just to go to Division 2, you would see that there's awareness that they recognize that numeracy helps us make decisions. There's a task analysis that they analyze the situation that involves numeracy to identify the relevant and irrelevant information. I often will get teachers say to me, you know what the problem is? Our kids can't read. Well, I wonder how much of it is they can't read than understanding what they're actually being asked to do. So a question that always brings to my mind, and I'm going to put it into the slides that you're going to get at the end of the day. Again, you'll get all the slides, all the links that we're showing you today in the slides, but I'll put another slide in there because it's great to really, if you want to share with your staff the difference between numeracy and math. It's from a great site, and what it is it's from the States. He puts up a sign that is on the road, and it is that the exit on the freeway is, I think Kathy knows exactly which one I'm talking about, but the exit on the freeway is 11 3/4 miles, and another exit is 14.5 miles. And the question is, he's looking at the freeway sign and he says, how far apart are the exits? And oh my goodness, this student sat there and said, I don't know how to do this. And then he put up a question, 14.5. Yes, thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Kathy, for putting in the link. The student, then he put up the sign and said 14.5 minus 11 1/4. And the student looked at it and said, oh, I can do that. And then he followed the algorithm, did the math, and answered the question. And so there's the difference between math and numeracy. Math is doing the question, doing the math, whereas numeracy is understanding what is being asked of you and knowing how to solve. And so the quantitative information for Division 2 is in the third column, also understanding the data, understanding probability, spatial information here is also now including time, location, and direction. This part here, as a math teacher, I totally love how Alberta education has brought in numeracy progressions across K to 12. And if you went to the printable curriculum on the left, and you just go down here and you open up the numeracy progressions, I really like how this looks, because you will see every one of them from kindergarten to Division 2. Division 3 and 4 is not up yet. It was up before the new curriculum came in, but they've just changed up some of the wording, and they've only put up K to 2 division, kindergarten to division, kindergarten division to grade 6, and all the things. So if we're looking at this, your third column here, this is stuff that every teacher should be aware of in every subject area. Where can I do this in my curriculum that I'm teaching today? Okay, so those are called numeracy progressions. Now, going back to our slides, the definition of science, math, it's the science of numbers and their operations. It's the interrelations, combinations, generalizations, and abstractions, and of space configurations and their structure, measurement, transformation, and generalization. Math is the algebra, the arithmetic, the calculus, the geometry, trigonometry. These are all branches of mathematics. That's taken out of the dictionary of the Merriam-Webster dictionary. And so math is that. So can you be numerate without mathematics? No, you can't. But can you do the math and not be numerate? Yes, you can. And so one of the things that I really want to highlight here is that math is the science of numbers. And so we need to teach math like we teach science. And when I talk about things like this, when we talk about science, we do experiments in science. We do hands-on activities. We need to teach math with hands-on activities. And that is in the front matter of our curriculum. It says we need to continue with manipulatives. We need to do all this. And so what we need to do is really focus on more of the understanding of mathematics and knowing when to use it than just doing worksheets that relate to math. Because again, you cannot be numerate without math, but you can do math and get excellent marks in math and not be numerate.
Yolanda, we have a question here.
Okay.
Great last comment. That was me before. I could do the math, but not sure what I was doing. The question is, are the progressions, is the focus on knowledge or understanding?
Pardon me?
The focus for the progressions, the numeracy progressions you just went through?
Yes.
Would you say the focus is on knowledge or understanding, or both?
Both, absolutely. It's the focus is being able to apply the math in different situations.
Okay.
Okay. And so those progressions are really lined up with different outcomes in different subject areas also. So they, for example, if in Division 2, when I'm just going to pick one here for, where's my numbers? Calculations. Here, the third one, students calculate using whole numbers and decimals in real life situations. And so if we're doing something in social studies and we're doing mapping, for example, we should be able to expect those kids in Division 2, grade 4 to 6, to use whole number and decimal calculations in all subject areas. Okay. Now, the other thing is there's also math learning progressions, and math learning progressions, finally in Canada, Lynn McGarvey from the U of A has put together math progressions. So how students learn math. Now, these progressions have nothing to do with numeracy. They have to do with the science of numbers and science of space. And so they are about how do students learn. And so there she's published out with, she teamed up with Pearson Publishers and has come out with 2 books. Now, some of you may know who Lynn McGarvey is. She is a professor of math education at the U of A. And so I cheer her on because she's one of our own. And she's come out with the progression of how kids learn math. And if you want those books, what happens in the book is she lines them up with the big ideas in 5 different topics: numbers, patterning and algebra, measurement, geometry, and data management and probability. And she looks at it, the topics, the conceptual threads in each one of those areas. And so, for example, from here is one of the threads is developing conceptual meaning of multiplication and division. And this starts off in K to 3. So for example, in grade 1 is modeling and solving equal share problems to 10, and then grouping objects in two groups of 2, 5s, and 10s, and it goes from K to 3. And then in the next book, it actually goes from grade 4 to 6, and developing that conceptual meaning of operations is built on those foundational knowledge, in kindergarten to grade 3. And so it goes from grade 4 to 6. And then that same book for grade 4 to 6 expands into grade 7 to 9. And so now,
Yolanda, I'm sorry to interrupt again.
oh no, please do not.
Questions. You're being asked where to get those mathology learning progressions from Dr. Lynn McGarvey.
Okay, I'll give a link in the slides. You can order them from Pearson, and every district has a rep, but I will give you the Alberta rep. I don't know, Renee, maybe if you can find me the Alberta rep and just drop it into the messages here, that would be awesome. If you can't, I have it, and once I stop talking, I'll put it into the slides so that you can find me. It's a great resource to have because, for example, I'm just going to go back to here. If you are working in grade 4 to 6 on, let's say you're doing decimal number computation for using flexible strategies, and they can't get it, you can look back at the other building blocks and see where are my students in this understanding, and where based on this understanding, maybe I'm gonna have to go back here and reteach something so that my kids can get that foundation for that topic. Now, we all know, going back to that concept that I said, my kid could do math until they had you. Well, the thing is, in older grades, those concepts get a little bit more complex. And if that foundation has started to crumble already, it really falls apart in junior high and in high school.
Yolanda, we have another question that asks if these progressions give lesson ideas to build the skills. Okay, without getting really into it, the mathology that Pearson Publishers has come up with is built around all of these progressions. So right now, that's the only one that I know that are built upon Dr. McGarvey's work. But you need to know, for example, if you're using Math Up has their set of progressions, and really the progressions, the foundations are very much the same in every single resource, but they just word it a little bit differently. Whereas the Pearson one is laid out nicely horizontally so you can see it. But every resource should be built upon progressions. That's great. Thanks.
And then the other one is Gord Fletcher. He's also made super videos about different threads of the progressions that you can watch. Now, these progressions are based in are from the United States. But again, if you were watching them and you were to take, for example, the progression of division, you would find Graham Fletcher's examples, his videos are really similar to Lynn McGarvey's progressions. But again, you need to know these are math progressions. These are not numeracy progressions. They are math, the foundations of how math is built. Yeah, Audrey, you're absolutely right. The only drawback for Graham's work is that he refers to grade levels in United States.
Yeah.
And you need to just not really worry about what grade levels he's talking about, but just look at the foundation, how those skills are built. Okay. Now, do I have any questions? Numeracy versus math progressions.
I am going to make a comment. Am I next, Yolanda?
Sure.
Yeah, the only comment I want to make is to acknowledge the chats that are going on, the comments that are going on, all related to what you're saying. And there's one going on that could be a whole discussion in itself, where when you were speaking about being numerate and having mathematical knowledge, that we have to be careful of students coming from other countries, because that context is so different. And the comment came from one of the teachers here that some countries don't, a billion to them is a million millions rather than 1,000 millions. And then we had conversation going. So such interesting comments, but things that we need to be aware of. Okay, and she's asking if you can show the slide on the big ideas again. Alana was asking, sorry.
Which big ideas?
There, I think there's a number where it says a big idea. That might be the one that she wants.
Okay,
Alana,
quantities and numbers can be operated on to determine how many and how much.
Yeah.
Can you show the slide? Alana, is that what you're referring to? Or were you referring to?
The big idea. Oh, numbers and pattern. Yeah.
And yes, these books are available in French and in English, except for Renee, if I'm not mistaken, the grade 4 to 9 one is not in French yet, right?
The French version is almost ready.
Okay.
Sounds good. And we have another question, Yolana. How do you help struggling readers to understand the numeracy? To understand that they are reading.
Celine, my number one thing I would say is we continue to teach through problem solving, not to problem solve. We teach so that kids really understand. We do a lot of stuff with manipulatives. We do a lot. We really need to make sure that the foundations are built through for understanding.
Right. I'm just going to add to that, Yolana, by saying like literacy, in the literacy part of the day, when we teach anything that we're going to have the students read for understanding, that comprehension is so important. They have to experience. If they don't know or haven't experienced riding a horse or seeing a horse, I remember doing that with grade 2. How do they know when they've come? I had so many students in my class who had come from another country at that time, never had seen a horse, and yet the story is about riding a horse, haven't got a clue. So it's that experience. It's the same with math. You don't, if you can memorize a formula for something like area or volume, but if you haven't experienced what volume is or capacity or a number or how big something is, like what does 100 look like to a little one or a million, it's all about that experience that they need to build that context. I think, like you said, numeracy and literacy are so closely related. You look at the vocabulary that you've been talking about this morning. If you haven't experienced it, a definition is meaningless to a student unless they know what it looks like, feels like, experiences. And you don't have to experience in real life sometime. But yeah.
Okay. So Betty, are you ready to share your slides?
Okay. So,
okay, I'm gonna.
Okay. What happened to my, just to give me a minute here because I'm gonna get rid of this. Show this, okay. Oh,
Sorry, we're just switching because Betty is going to take over the presentation.
okay, hopefully this is gonna work. Oh, there it is. Okay. I have to go all the way down. I know I'm sharing this, but I have to go all the way down to day 2 again.
It's on slide 65.
Oh, thanks.
Great comments. I'm just
Yeah, your turn to read them all. They're so great, Yolanda. Yeah.
such
Just loading.
excellent, Scott. You know, Dave, you are so right when you're talking about that billion. My husband is Ukrainian and he's from Ukraine. And we often have that discussion about how they say their numbers, because yes, the billion is, when they say it, it's a different amount than our billion.
And I apologize, I'm gonna have to shut my video off again, my camera, because my computer is slow when that starts. I think maybe with everybody on, I'm not sure. Okay, so in this section, what I'm going to do, can you see, Yolanda, can you see the site?
Yeah.
ARPDC, okay. So what I'm going to do in this part, I'm going to go through the resources that we talked about yesterday. And I decided today that what I'll do is go right to the site and take you through so you can navigate it through, learn, see how to navigate through the site, and then maybe focus on some of the resources that are going to help you immediately in the planning, and then some will help you through the year. So when you get to ARPDC, and you'll get that that link today on the slides, when you go to the site, you're immediately going to go where it says new curriculum resources. So I'm just going to go to the site. And this is where we are. So exactly the same as you saw on the slide. And we're going to jump there to new curriculum resources. I am going to show another tab later on for you. And so this is fairly new, the site, the way it's been organized by subject areas. And this particular tab, new curriculum resources, was put there so that you knew to go specifically to those resources, documents that would help you as you go through the new curriculum. But there are other resources as well. So these are the different subject areas, and I'm just going to go straight to math. Now, when you get to the math resources, there's 2 ways to look at this. They're still working on kind of fine-tuning the technology behind it, because sometimes when you go press the back button, it takes you to the beginning. But there you can go through the filters, and that would help you maybe fine-tune it down, or go deeper into the grade level that you're working at. Although there's some that are straight K to 6. We have a button here that switches to French for those of you who are in the French, so you can work there. So what I'm going to do is I'm in math already, so it shows up math in the subject areas, but just to make it a little easier, I'm going to go to division 2. So if you want to just do grade 4, you can do that, grade 5 or grade 6, but I would highly recommend that you either go through all the resources at one point when you have time, or even just division 4 to 6. So what I'm going to start with is this particular document, because it's kind of a lead in to all the other documents. It is the curriculum implementation toolkit. It is a document, and it has links to other documents that you will find of benefit. So you can see that there's 17 resources there for grades 4 to 6. And then it tells you what media type it is, the grade levels, and the resource type. I'm just going to go straight to the view resource. And I'll do the landscape version of the PDF. Okay, so this document is like a table of contents actually for the rest of the math site.
There,
So
now I-
in the table of contents, it will talk about what the toolkit is. It is a document, and then it shows you all of the documents on the website that will help to support the learning and teaching in September. So it's got a little bit about the curriculum support, a little bit about the new curriculum in math, an introduction to financial literacy. We're not really touching much on financial literacy, but it is something that you're going to have to be working with, and you will want to look at that in the curriculum in particular. Financial literacy in the phys ed and wellness, it is part of the phys ed and wellness curriculum. It's the very last, to make it easier for you, it's the very last organizing idea and learning outcome. So just scroll right down to the financial literacy piece. And again, that's a decision that districts and schools are making about who is going to be teaching that financial literacy piece. In most elementary schools, it will be the classroom teacher. So we have documents like the curriculum comparison document. I won't look into those specifically. Parent communication and the scope and sequence. I'm going to just focus on the scope and sequence, and I'm going to get you, Alana.
Yep.
Yolana, sorry, just to comment on this particular document, because Yolana was just talking about numeracy progressions. And so this is what we call the scope and sequence, or the curriculum progressions. And maybe if you want to comment, Yolana, how different that is from what you were just showing them, the teachers.
Okay, so this is just basically a scope and sequence of the outcomes that we have in math. And so these are, some people call them the math progressions. I don't call them the math progressions, because this is the math progressions for me are the ones that are out there by Dr. Lynn McGarvey, but these are curriculum progressions. So scope and sequence, that's my preference of how to call it. And so they are arranged according to the big topics also. And what we did was, when we worked on the scope and sequence, what we did was we also highlighted in yellow the outcomes that are new for that grade level. And yes, like we said yesterday, grade 4 to 6 has an awful lot of yellow, lots of new outcomes where the kids, you'll be teaching different topics. So for example, this one that Betty has brought up is on algebra. It's all about equations, inequalities, and expressions. And this is where the order of operations is in. And so in grade 3, they do 2 expressions are equal if they represent the same quantity. Growing into grade 4, evaluate expressions according to order of operations, and then evaluate expressions according to order of operations that include parentheses, and then grade 6 is order of operations that include powers. And so it's built really nice across the curriculum grades. Okay, so there, if you went to this page in Alberta Ed, now can you go back once, like to this Alberta Math up here? Yeah. Now, no, one more back. No, to grade 4 to 6 math. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, go to, I believe it is slide number, yep, there.
Oh, you want me to go back to the slides? Sorry.
No, to the next tab, yep, grade 4, it says grade 4 to 6 math, yep. If you go to, can you go to the next page of this book?
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize that's what you wanted me to do. I think I go here.
Yes.
Okay.
And go to slide, yeah, right there. If you look in this column for scope and sequence, there's an overview, and then there's number and operations, algebra, geometry, measurement, pattern, time, statistics. All those big pictures are on different, there we go, yeah. So for example, the number and operations.
Yeah.
There we go. The number concepts, again, how they are built in the curriculum, the scope of where they start in kindergarten, all the way that topic grows into grade 6. Okay, and Sandra asked, did the slides get sent yesterday? I didn't receive anything. Yes, we shared slides from at the end of the day yesterday, a link with all the links, and then the actual presentation slides will be sent at the end of the week.
Thanks, Yolanda. I just want to piggyback on what Yolanda said about when you talked about Graham Fletcher's progressions, and that's why it's so important. We can call them curriculum progressions, but they're the Alberta curriculum progressions. So this is a case in point for what you see across it's the grade levels, it's our Alberta curriculum. And when you watch Graham Fletcher's progressions, he's using the curriculum from the States. And so you would see in his scope and sequence, you would see movements in different areas. So that's the difference between numeracy progressions, which is generic across all areas, as Yolanda said, and then the curriculum progressions. But the scope and sequence, which I'll call it here, that's there for you to see. And as Yolanda said, you can see the differences are highlighted or what's new. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to go out of this particular document. I got to go back and see, this is what happens sometimes. Now I got to go back to Division 2. And I'm just going to go through some of the other resources. So this is a good start for you to look at this so that you can see the other documents. So just some of the other ones that deal with the new curriculum. I'm not going to click into all of them, but you know that they're there. So this is a Learn and Go. This was developed by one of the consortiums, and you can see that it's all divisions, and it's a one-pager on using a 1-point rubric. So if you're going to want to use this rubric, the page explains to you generically how you can use this in any of the math activities that you're doing. And we've got resources. This is a guide for K-6 mathematics for teaching and learning. And again, it's general. It says selecting resources is an important step in preparation for a lesson. So it's, whoops. We have someone that raised their hand here. Can we see everything? And a lot of the documents will have repetition. So you might see some of the same, an example of a curriculum of the grade. You might see a comparison page. You might see some redundancy, but at least it's all together. So this is a generic one, K-6, that you can look at. This is the financial literacy. This is just the outcomes for K-6. And again, you can click into it.
Pause, Betty.
Pardon me?
Can we pause? Dean has a question.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry. I'm Dean Hawkins from Lethbridge, principal of a middle school here. And I love all the stuff, but I'm trying to keep up on my other screen here.
Oh,
You're going pretty quick. I'm pretty old. So where do you find all the, can you just show us one more time where I find all this stuff?
yes.
And
Yes.
then, you
Okay.
said,
So can you?
I'm grade 6 next year because we're 6, 7, 8.
Dean,
so-
are you on the ARPDC site?
You betcha. I'm trying to keep up with you here, but I'm
Oh,
as
okay.
soon as I take a drink of my water, I'm lost.
Okay, so Dean, I just gave you the link to the booklet she's in.
I think that I because I'm going so quickly because of the time.
No,
but
I know. I totally
did you-
understand. I just
Yeah.
I'll
So
probably
did
have
you-
to play with this for a while, but I just
Yeah.
I could just see real quick one more time here.
Okay. So when you're here, are you at this filter area? So where it says math, and then it has the grade. Can you see on my screen? Can you find that?
I did
Well,
find that. Where did
okay.
I find it?
Oh, so right when you click on, maybe what I'll do is I'll go back. I'll go back one more. Okay.
Oh
So-
yes, right there.
Okay, so this is the beginning, and I'm going to click on this new curriculum resources.
Yep.
And then I'm going to go and click the pink math box.
Yep.
And then here I am where my filters are. So it
Okay.
already says math, and here's the grades.
Yep.
So now you can choose, that you can choose as principal and to help your teachers, whatever grade that you want. But I'm going down to Division 2 for our session.
Yep.
Okay. Now, here's where it's going to get a little bit tricky for you. as it does for me, unless I'm doing something wrong. So now I've got a total of 17 resources for K to 6, so 4 to 6, sorry. And so now you can start scrolling down.
Okay, thank
Kind of
you.
just browsing through the document. When you want to see it, you'll click a review resource button, which I should have said.
No, that's good. Thank you very much. Sorry.
Okay,
everybody.
that's good that you say that, so that I go a little bit slower, because I'm trying to rush here.
That's
So
okay.
what I'm going to do now, Dean, and for the rest of you, I'm going to go through these documents, and I might just highlight a few of them. So I'm scrolling down. There's a resource for parents that they can use on the grade 4 to 6. So you can see what that looks like, and see if you want to, something you might want to give your parents. Then we have a year at a glance, and I am going to click this one on because it's interactive and I want to show you something. Now, these year at a glance, they have a sample year plan. So they actually show you a planning, a scope and sequence, or a planning for a pacing guide for the year. And there's two. There's one that's just plain, but there's an interactive one, if you can see. That's the one I'm going to show you. That's the one I go to. So what you've got, it gives you a little bit of a description. This is grade 4, about the year. There's a little short video that will walk you through the document, but I'm just going to go to the document so you can see what it looks like. And again, it would depend. Do you want to print it off, or do you just want to watch it on the slides? And so there's a little bit of a preamble here, and then here's your year at a glance, and all the grades 4 to 6 are exactly the same. So one of the things that I may not have mentioned yesterday, I probably didn't, and there is a document that shows that, is the numbered outcomes. So what the consortium has done, and the majority of the districts are using it, I'm just going to highlight this, what they did to make it easier for you. This is not on the Alberta Learning website, the New Learn Alberta website, is they coded all of the learning outcomes and the organizing ideas. I'll show you in a minute what the code looks like, but everything is coded. So there's number, this is grade 4, number, outcome 2, learning outcome 2. Grade 4, number here, if you can see it, learning outcome 4. So everything has been coded, and there is a document that explains how that code works. And it's just to make it easier for you. This year at a glance gives you an idea of what you can do, like a pacing guide for the months of September, October, and November. So it's suggesting that in number for grade 4, you would do the first outcome, and then you would do the second, and then you'd go to the 4th. And it goes all the way down. So it continues in September, October, and November. But as you go down, you'll see that then we're suggesting not just number, but also you would do part of measurement, and then if there's anything else, and part of algebra as well. And that would start in September, and then you would leave that in October, and then start again in November with a different learning outcome or cluster. Now, it looks like it's a lot, but it's been very well planned out. And those teachers who were using optional implementation last year, the majority of the teachers did use this particular pacing guide, and it worked quite well with them. I am going to say, though, and acknowledge the fact that many of you from your districts and or schools already have pacing guides. And so what you would have to do is maybe make things or change things up a little bit, but still kind of follow maybe cut and paste a little bit into your own pacing guide if your district or school hasn't done that already. But I do know that there are different districts and schools that have developed their own pacing guides, very similar to this, but you would want to be sure and check to make sure that you follow the right one. The other thing I want to pay it.
Betty, can I just jump in also?
Yeah.
One of the things that I wanted to add is you'll notice that there are words that are underlined and are in blue.
I was just going to say that.
Okay.
Perfect.
This
is
go
ahead. Perfect.
Oh, this is an interactive document. And so anything that is underlined in blue, if you click on it, you would go to a definition, which is will help teachers out with what does this really mean.
Yeah.
But then tomorrow's session is even way better because the ladies have taken those definitions even further, and they've developed a document that I think you're going to love.
I'm just going to go back to this one here again. Okay. So, and the other thing I want to mention is, so exactly what Yulana said. So and it's repetition, like there's lots of blues because you're going to see place value in this column, and you're going to see in September, and you're going to see place value here. So it's to make it easier for you. And the definitions come from various places. Some of them come from the Learn Alberta site that was developed a number of years ago, or some may come from external sites that are cited. As well, within yellow, with the yellow part is recommendations, so that if you're going to, for instance, do place value, that you start within 100. So these are some ideas of what you can do. A lot of money that's recommended to use money first for place value, but that's just a suggestion or an idea. As well, what you see in green, and I'm telling you this, but it's all in the document so that you can read it. Anything in green says that this should be ongoing throughout the year. So we're looking at, in this case, the multiplication facts 12 by 12, and then you can see them again in October. So anything like that, they want you to continue that, and you'll see that in there. So this is a document that you should look at. See if you look at the it gives you a start anyway. You may want to make some changes, or again, depend on what your school or district is doing. So I'm just going to go out of that. Now, this is, I'm going to just make sure, see, this is where I struggle a little bit. And Dean, just so that for you, so that as you go through this, you know, if you notice when I press the back button, I come back to all again. I don't come back to 4 to 6. Now, unless I'm doing something wrong, and I have tried this back button here, I have to figure out, I will have to talk to the tech person to see if that's either a back end issue or it's a Betty Morris issue. But you can see that I then went back to 4 to 6 again. So I'm just going to continue a little bit on with the documents. You can see there's an always by grade, because I did grade 4 to 6. So I'm going to see everything by grade. And here's what, again, we showed you with the scope and sequence that Yulana talked about. So now we have the scope and sequence for statistics K to 6. So we'll just speak to that, give you the scope and sequence at the document just just for that particular organizing idea. And there's algebra, and there's measurement, geometry. So you have each document separately. Now you could go through the toolkit, but this is much handier. It's there, you can print it off. There's our 1-point rubrics. This is the document with the I'm just going to show you with the code so you can see it. Move this over. So in this top right hand corner here, I'll just leave it like this, instead of enlarging it. You can see that this is the code, the K for kindergarten, then the organizing idea. This is learner outcome 1. And the row of understanding. And if you remember, let's see if I can find one. If you remembered yesterday, I spoke to you that sometimes you will have clusters, and the cusps will be in rows. There isn't one in this particular one, so that they're separate. And that's why it's 0.1, 1.1, and 1.2. So you can see that it's just different clusters. See, here's one. This is 1.3. This is a row, and this is 1.4. So in the curriculum, they're separated that way, even though it's the same learner outcome. So that's that, understanding what that code means. And then there is, I wanted to show you one more. You'll have to forgive me here. This is the measurement, the geometry, the one, no, it's not showing it to me. There is 2 other, I'll go to all and see what happens. There are 2 other documents. And they're not showing up. Oh, here's one. So this is one document from the Calgary Board of Education. So sometimes what's happened is that different districts or boards have submitted to ARPDC to say, yeah, you can put this on the site and you can share this with everybody. So this is an example of, these are tasks. This is grade 4. I'll show you what this looks like. So these tasks have been basically curated by the Calgary Board of Education. And in each of the tasks, it has the organizing idea, the learning outcome, and then a number of activities or tasks. And those blue highlighted links will take you to that site. And it's all been, the sites have been, you can see which site they are. They have been cited, so to speak. And Calgary Board of Education just put this all together. It's on their website. And they said to ARPDC, definitely we can share this with the province. And so they collected them. And so now somebody who just asked, are there activities or skills that we can work with? You can do some of these games, short little activities that again will support the learning. Now, having said, looking at all these resources, of course, there is the onerous task of putting it all together so you have some semblance or some organization to it. So you have to make the decision, like, what are you going to start with? It's going to be difficult. Like, I'm not going to read through them all and then decide which ones you're going to use.
Green in front of me. I'm at the lake. Lori and the kids came, stayed over.
Oopsie. So this is one of the other tasks. Okay. And we do have, there is another one in here that you will see where I mentioned it yesterday, where the learner outcome and the cusps underneath it are all on cards. So it's just for ease for you. You might want to print them off so you can organize when you're doing your pacing guide or your planning for the year. So because of time, I won't be able to show it to you, but it is on this particular site. So that was very, very fast. Lots to go through this, and you kind of have to go in bits and pieces. You might want to start with that toolkit, that document, and then take it through there. So I'm going to just see if it works again when I go back. This toolkit here. There is another document that you're going to see in the fall, early fall, later fall, which is called a curriculum support document. And it's a document, again, that's going to kind of put everything together for you in a one-stop shop kind of place with lots of links. And there'll be illustrative examples. There'll be some assessment examples in there as well. But that's not, you won't see that probably until the fall. And then again, we've got the document that we're going to show you tomorrow. Now, I'm going to get out of here and go back to my page, and I'm going to go to the next one. No. Doesn't seem to want to take me to the next slide. There we go. Okay. This is the last one I'm going to show you. Yolanda had mentioned that there are other resources as well. I have talked to you about Calgary Board of Education. And this is another website. You'll get the link for this. Yolanda, I hope that we're going to put this, we'll put this on the slide. Perfect. This is another, this is Edmonton Catholic. And what they have done is, again, shared it for the whole province. It is not on the ARPDC site, but I'm sure there will be discussions about that. And what they created was what they called learning crates. So I'm going to just click this on because of time. I'm not going to get anywhere near that next piece. So in these learning crates, they will explain what they are and the different, they're by grade. So you go into the different grades. I'll go to grade 5. And you're going to get the link for this. And then you'll go to math. That they have in there, so you have other subjects as well. I'll go to the math. And this again, now you have another source for activities, lessons, assessment, ideas. You can see that they're in French and English. They're not completed yet. I'll go to the last one just so that you can have a quick look. So here we have, this is called the curriculum crate, and it'll tell you what there's the learning outcome, multiply and divide natural numbers. Hopefully you can see this. And then it's got the learning goal, the evidence of learning, so the assessments, looking through observation, conversations, products, and each one is a little bit different. Different activities. You can use the Freyer model, looking at vocabulary, and then a potential learning experience. So what to do before the lesson, and then it takes you to different games, and even some of these are even materials that you can click on and use. Some of them are very short, some of them you can use like a math talk or a number talk, and then we have a little bit of an activity or a lesson here. And so that comes from Edmonton Catholic, and they also have pacing guides on this site that you're going to be sent. So again, another place that you can go to. We've given you all of these today. Within our sessions, as we go through the year, we will probably kind of parse them out, show you bits and pieces that deal with the concept that we're doing. Like if I was doing order of operations, I would have shown you some of the material from that. But again, so many resources have been made to help support you. Now it's just a matter of going through them all and reading them. And that will happen through the year if you look at the sessions, and we'll talk about that on the last day, the sessions that will be offered, and we'll be using these resources in them as well. So now here we are at 8 minutes to 10 o'clock, and we have not taken a deep dive into the curriculum, into necessary looking at order of operations. So, but you know what? I don't know whether we can make a decision. We'll go as far as we can. I think we're going to do this, which one doesn't belong, because it's a nice little break, maybe a nice little way to end it. And then perhaps we can discuss this, whether we'll just give you the slides with notes when you receive all the slides. I can easily make notes for you to go through them, or we can make a decision about whether we can tack this on to another day. But let's do this one. Let's do the which one doesn't belong. Okay, Yolanda?
Yeah,
Just
I agree.
yeah.
You know what? Maybe we can just start this on Thursday.
Yeah.
With the other part.
Okay. And it takes about, it'll take about 10, 15 minutes to go through.
Okay.
Okay.
Then we'll do it on for Thursday.
Okay,
morning.
so let's end with this one, which one doesn't belong. And again, you'll get the site, the URL for this. And most of us are very familiar with Steve Wyborne's Which One Doesn't Belong. So this is one of his. So this is like a math talk or a number talk. And the reason that I had put this one out was because what we're going to do, and when we look at order of operations for grade 4, 5, and 6, we're looking at order of operations specifically only focusing on numerical expressions. And you'll see on Thursday that we're going to get, I'm going to show you the progression to algebraic and equations. We're not going to look at that necessarily, but you can see how that goes, how that follows in order. So this is the focus again is on, we're looking at numerical expressions. We're going to look, this one doesn't necessarily deal with order of operations, and we're looking at the word evaluate because there's no equal sign. So what is, you could, part of looking at it is evaluate or find the value of these. So which one doesn't belong? Now, because of time, we won't get you to put it in the chat or any, just kind of look at it. And this is what you would do with your students. And you don't need any kind of preamble to this. And you're just throwing it up there when you have any time during the day at the beginning. Maybe you're doing order of operations and you want to start with this every day. So we look at this and we say, which one doesn't belong? Just kind of as we're doing this. If you want to put it in the chat, you can say which one doesn't belong, and you can say, and maybe Yolanda can look at them a little bit, or you can say top left, top right, or whatever. And again, you, 2 green, 2 dark green, 2 light green, and that's done purposely so that students in this case don't focus on color, because if we did 4 different colors or 3 and 1 different, they would just focus on the color. We want them to focus on the number. So I have done this one with students. I've done this one with upper elementary, and I've done this one with junior high, more so with junior high than anything else. And so if there are no responses in the chat, Oh, bottom right, we have bottom right, 11 plus 3 plus 5. And to the person who said that, we have, I'll just say, it could be because it's the only expression that has 2 digits. Anything else you see, Yolanda?
One of them doesn't add up to 15.
Okay. And then, of course, you would ask the student which one, and you would say this 11 plus 3 plus 5 it is greater than 15. All the other 3 add up to 15. Okay. And we have someone with a raised hand.
3 plus 5 plus 7 is the only one that has a consecutive sequence of 3 odd numbers.
And isn't that great? That's a great response, because we're looking at more than just the answer, more than just the sum. So we've got, that's the only one that has 3 consecutive. And then we have 4 plus 11, because it's the only one that doesn't have the digit 3 or the numeral 3 in it. 3 plus 3 plus 9, because it's the only one that has 2 of the same number in it. Okay. And 3 plus 3 plus 3. 9 because is the only one that's different, because 3 and 3 are multiples of 9 or factors. Sorry. So that, and you can make those up as you want. You can get the kids to make those up. Now I'm going to go one step further, and I'm going to ask this in a different way. Now I did this on my own because now this is we're moving into algebra here, and I wanted to make it just a little bit more interesting for you, but you notice that my question is different. So when I do the grade 4 session, when I do this one on the left, I might say which expression doesn't belong, because I want the students, where I'm getting into my vocabulary, I'm getting into my understanding, my context. I might say which expression doesn't belong, so that they see that reinforces the fact that that's what those are, and they are expressions. I might go so far as to say which numerical expression doesn't belong. I might save that for grade 5 or grade 6, because we're going to start to get into something a bit different. That is what you see on the left, which is the algebraic expression. So just a minute, just not even a minute, to see which expression doesn't belong. And again, there is, because of time, again, I have done this one where I've actually said this one, because we've got both numerical and algebraic expressions here, I have to leave it as an expression. So we've got one, and the students always say, well, they won't say variable at this point. Maybe it's because they're lazy, maybe it's because it's easier. They'll say the one 3 plus 7 doesn't have a letter in it. You want them to use the word variable. I should have actually italicized the n in this case, the variable in this case. 11 take away, subtract, minus, n doesn't belong, because it's subtraction, where the other ones are addition. 4 plus 1 plus n, because there are 3 terms as opposed to 2. And then, of course, somebody will always say, but 4 plus 1 plus n is 5 plus n. And those 2 are the same. That's the same thing. I was caught on that one. I should have changed the number for that one. So again, and you can create your own depending what you're doing. So if you're wanting to make sure that they understand that the letter variable comes first and second, then you arrange the choices that way. Okay. So maybe what we'll do, then we'll stop here, Yolanda.
Sure. And so I am right now in the chat, because a lot of people didn't, they missed. Slides with links to all the links that we talked about today are in the chat right now. Oops, I sent it to hold on a second, I made a mistake. There you go, everything is there right now.
I'm
Okay.
just quickly going through the slides, sorry.
Yeah.
I should have just gone down and back up. I just want to go for tomorrow. I'm almost there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a lot of questions here that were being sent to me privately. So I'm trying to read this and talk at the same time. I do have a question for you, though. Someone asked about Math Up, and did Math Up complete their grade 4 to 6 resources?
Okay, that's a really good question. So K to 3 is finished and it's going up in August. 4 to 6, the correlation is done, but you won't see the new site, the new pathways up. The documents for the correlation, just like the previous K to 3, are there, but you won't see the actual pathways with the content on the site until sometime in the fall.
Okay, and then someone asked me about Mathology. Mathology is completed and Mathology will be up and running August 15th. Renee, do you know if it's going to be up and running for French?
We think end of August as well.
Oh, awesome. Fantastic. You need to know, I need to share this with everyone. Usually what happens when there's a new curriculum that's out, it usually goes to the publishers 2 years before it gets implemented. So it gives publishers 2 years to get their resource together. Publishers did not get 2 years. They got, for the K to 3, they got 2 months. And for the 4 to 6, they did get it last June, except for all publishers are a little bit worried about changes. So they tried to do as much as they could. And in June of this year, they were told this is the final curriculum that we are going to be using in September. So publishers are just trying to make sure that they have lessons for each one. There's the other thing, someone was asking Jump Math. One of the things that you need to know is you need to go into the resource and you need to make the links yourself to the new curriculum, because there are things they didn't, because it's more of a printed resource. There are things that are missing and there are things that are extra that are put into the Jump Math. So you really need to know your curriculum well so that you know exactly which resources to use in Jump Math.
Just to add to that, Yolanda, when you go to the Learn Alberta site, you will see Jump Math resources and correlations. There are correlations, but there are 2 different ones. So there's a correlation on the Learn Alberta site, and then there's a correlation on the Jump Math site. It's really important because teachers have been asking and not sure that you use the one that's on the Alberta Learning site. And it's important that you use the correlation very, very strictly, because you've got a resource that is universal. And so it's got way more than you need, like Yolanda said. So if you don't follow that correlation, the students will be doing way more than they need to do. So you have to be very careful with that.
So can I jump in, ladies, on the Jump Math?
Yeah.
Sure.
Just so you know, the reason I put it in the chat there to make sure to, as Betty was saying, is use the correlation from New Learn Alberta, not the Jump Math. And the reason is because Jump Math correlated when it was the draft version of 4 to 6. So it's incorrect. And New Learn Alberta said, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it ourselves. And so New Learn Alberta did the correlation. So that's where you should go. And it has recommended, required, optional, and review lessons next to each lesson. So just because I am aware of that, I thought I would pass it on.
And
Thank you so much, Kathy.
Good to know. And I had to phone them as well to get that information. So I asked them if they would take that off the website, but we'll see. Their own correlation, the draft. So, okay.
Thank you guys. I'm sorry we're taking you 5 minutes late, but tomorrow's session is with a guest from ERLC. Tammy will be unpacking student action verbs in the new curriculum and providing you with a link to the documents that they have presented, which are absolutely phenomenal. So I hope you guys have a great day. Oh, Judy says, don't forget, it's 7-Eleven today. So don't forget to go get your Slurpees. Yes, definitely on my way. So I did give you the link to the slides with all the links to everything that we've talked about today. And once again, Our presentation slides and our recordings will go out on Friday.
Okay, and thanks for that comment, Anita. Oh, okay. Oh, is this Anita from Edmonton Catholic? Are you talking
Yes.
about? Oh, that's perfect. Thank you, Anita.
Yes.
Thanks for that comment.
Yeah, I love the fact like Edmonton Catholic is sharing theirs, Calgary Board of Education shared theirs, Chinook's Edge has shared theirs. There's no use reinventing wheels when such good work is out there.
Okay, thank you so much. And we'll see everyone tomorrow.
You bet.
And Yolanda will stay on and
Yes.